HOA Karen called the cops after my daughter moved to the ranch, didn't know my wife was recording everything for the FBI. Have you ever watched someone try to destroy your family and accidentally hand you the very evidence to destroy theirs? It started the day my daughter moved back home. Not for some emergency, not because she needed help, just because she missed the land she grew up on, the kind of land where your boots get red dirt caked in the soles and the sunrise cuts through the fog like truth through lies. She was fresh out of graduate school, with a degree in agricultural sustainability and more sense than most people twice her age. My wife and I kept the ranch running, but barely. So when Katie came back and said, "Let's make this place bloom again," I said, "Hell yes." And that's when the real storm rolled in, not in the sky, but from across the HOA boundary line. Karen, you couldn't miss her. Heavy set, with stiffly curled hair and a permanent frown like she smelled something rotten 24 hours a day. She waddled with purpose, clutching a clipboard like it was holy scripture and wearing a Bluetooth headset that made her look like a discount FBI agent. Her house sat catty-corner to our fence, even though her property wasn't and never had been part of the HOA. But facts didn't stop Karen. She showed up uninvited less than 48 hours after Katie arrived. "You can't house a young adult here without formal approval from the association," she barked, standing in front of our gate like she owned the air. "It's a violation of temporary occupancy ordinances." I blinked at her. "Karen, this isn't an HOA property." "Oh, honey," she smirked. "Every neighborhood has rules. Some just haven't caught up yet." I should have shut the gate. Instead, I asked her politely to leave. So she called the sheriff. No joke. Claimed we were harboring an illegal tenant and violating community cohesion statutes. Whatever the hell that means. The deputy came, took one look at her deed, apologized, left. Karen wasn't done. The next morning, our livestock gate was mysteriously unlatched. Our goats got out. Katie spent hours chasing them down Highway 9 with her boots half sunk in mud. I found a fresh boot print, Karen's exact orthopedic sole, in the puddle by the fence. That night, my wife handed me a flash drive. "She's been talking," she said. "A lot. Over the phone. Loud. Right outside our back porch." See, my wife's a retired audio analyst for a federal agency. She still tinkers, still runs frequency capture software out of habit. We always joked it was overkill until it wasn't. The files were crystal clear. "Karen, just make them snap. I want them to call the cops. Then I've got cause." Karen again. "I'll mess with the livestock next. That'll send a message." I sat back in my chair, a slow, dark satisfaction rising in my chest. "Start documenting everything," I told my wife. "Oh, I already have," she grinned. By the end of the week, Karen escalated. She spray-painted unregistered on my daughter's truck in the driveway. She blocked a water delivery truck at our gate, screamed at the driver for delivering illegal tank storage. She even climbed halfway onto our porch and ripped out a planter box Katie had just set up, muttering something about unauthorized agricultural modification. We didn't retaliate. Not publicly. We just filmed. Then came the twist. One morning, Karen didn't come stomping across the road. Instead, two other HOA board members did. A man in his 60s with a blazer that didn't fit and a woman clutching a giant folder labeled Enforcement Protocol. They stood at the fence while Katie and I watched from the porch. "We believe you are violating communal land agreements by harboring unsanctioned occupants," the man said, voice shaking slightly. "This again?" I asked. "We're not part of the HOA." The woman held up a map, one drawn in pen, on top of a satellite printout, with our land mysteriously colored in. My daughter stepped off the porch and said, calmly, "You're trespassing." The man frowned. "Excuse me." Katie smiled. "You heard me." That's when the second twist hit. From behind the barn, my wife stepped out holding a portable speaker. She hit play. Karen's voice crackled across the pasture. "If we can make them retaliate, we can file a civil suit. The HOA will back me. We just need to fake a code breach." The man dropped the folder. The woman's jaw slackened. "You've been recording us?" the man whispered. "Only the parts where you threatened my family," my wife said sweetly. The two of them scurried off like rats from Spotlight. "But Karen?" Karen doubled down. She filed an emergency injunction in HOA court, claimed we were a threat to neighborhood safety, claimed my wife was conducting illegal surveillance. She even claimed Katie's college records were forged and that she was actually a drifter impersonating a resident. That got her subpoenaed because we handed all the audio along with photos of every act of harassment directly to a friend in the FBI, not as a criminal case, but for a federal civil rights probe, because the HOA had received federal grants for community development, which meant they were subject to federal accountability. Karen didn't know that, but she learned fast. The subpoena wasn't just for show. It dragged Karen into a federal building she'd only ever seen on TV, the kind with metal detectors, suited men, and glass walls that reflected every ounce of guilt back onto her face. She strutted in like she owned the place, still wearing her usual ivory blouse and fake pearl necklace. But by the time she sat down across from the Department of Justice rep, the tremble in her voice gave her away. Because they didn't just question her. They showed her the recordings. Every threat, every plan, every whisper she thought no one heard. Her eyes darted. Her voice cracked. I was just trying to preserve neighborhood standards. The agent raised an eyebrow. By trespassing? By tampering with livestock? By orchestrating harassment? Karen's lawyer, yes. She showed up with one, paid for by the HOA's emergency funds, looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. But here's where it got delicious. Because the HOA's own financial disclosure showed that Karen had been reimbursing herself for community beautification, which, translated through her county records, turned out to be supplies used for surveillance. Drones, long-range mics, and yes, even bolt cutters. Turns out Karen hadn't just been targeting us. She'd been watching half the neighborhood. All those mysterious finds suddenly made sense. The feds froze the HOA account pending investigation. And then came the reckoning. We didn't have to say a word. One by one, neighbors came to us with their own stories. A dad fined for having a swing set out of code. A disabled veteran told his van was too visually disruptive. A widowed woman charged extra for overgrowth when her hedge grew 2 inches past Karen's preference. All while Karen funneled thousands into her private HOA security project a motion camera system installed under the false name of a tech company she created herself. Her LLC, Secure Karen Vision. We kid you not. The FBI called it wire fraud. The DA called it racketeering. The judge called it a stunning abuse of micropower. Karen was arrested on 6 counts, including evidence tampering, impersonation of legal authority, and misappropriation of federal grants. Her mugshot? Priceless. HOA members disbanded the board within 2 weeks. A public vote dissolved the association permanently. And Katie? She planted a garden where the old HOA sign used to be. She called it the Free Roots Patch. The day it bloomed, neighbors came to help harvest fresh tomatoes, basil, and radishes under the open sky. No fines, no clipboards, no Karen. As for my wife, she was offered a consulting job with a civil liberties watchdog group. Karen now lives alone in a rented unit outside county lines. Her probation officer visits weekly. Sometimes I see her drive by the old HOA road, slow then speed off. She doesn't look so powerful anymore. Funny how quickly the ones who scream law and order fall silent when the real law shows up. But I'll leave you with this. When someone shows you who they are again and again, and you quietly build your case, does it make you petty or prepared? You tell me. The end.